Right, it is a very bright Sunday morning, quite warm already, about 25 degrees. I thought we'll have a look at the Colocasias in my little pond bog filter and see how they've done. So we're sort of getting fairly late in the season now, it's late August, so might have maybe another month if we're lucky growing. But we've got some different varieties in here, so we'll have a quick look and see which done well and which didn't. What I will say is that the problem I've had, which I've never had before, outside anyway, is spider mites. And even in this setting where, this is basically a pre-formed pond full of gravel which the water filters through, so you'd expect that to be a fairly humid area, but we've still got spider mites in a lot of these. I don't know how well it's picking up on camera, but that is actually covered in spider mites. You can see the webs on the top. So that has definitely been a problem this year, being so hot and dry, that you expect that maybe when you're getting them started off in the greenhouse or indoors or whatever, they are a spider mite magnet, and that they do zap a lot of the energy from the leaves. So I think that's the biggest problem this year for me. But nonetheless, we're going to overlook that and just have a look at different varieties and see which ones have performed. Right, so I've said it several times and I'll say it again, that pink china is not one of my favourite colocasias. I happen to have quite a few of them. Obviously they spread pretty quick, but so this is the pink china, and for me this is probably the biggest pink china I've got in the garden, so not overly impressive at all. They are quite nice looking, the pink stems and whatnot, and they are fast spreading, and obviously they're probably the hardiest of all Colocasia we can keep overwintered in the ground in this country. But yeah, so that is the pink china. Done okay, look okay. I wouldn't ever expect it to get giant leaves. I mean, they are capable of it, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me, but they don't seem to perform well for me whatsoever. Right, moving on to this next one, which I guess is quite similar to the pink china, because you've got that sort of purple spot. This is just one I bought from Morrison's, as Edo's, 2 or 3 years ago. They never get very big. They're sort of a wild Colocasia, and yeah, I mean they grow. They don't get huge leaves, but they have got that little spot similar to pink china, but without the pink stem. So that's just a little bit of a filler plant. Don't expect too much from that. Not really a fair trial with this one. This is the black coal, and again it's covered in spider mites, so the leaves haven't done well at all. Been zapped of all their energy. See, it's absolutely covered in them. Obviously I don't want to be spraying any chemicals or anything in a pond situation, so I've let nature take its course. This is real, that's what's happening. So yeah, say not a fair trial, but not done well at all. A little bit disappointing, because they are quite nice when they get big leaves, and they're sort of really oily black glossy leaves on them. But there you go. Then we've got the Fontisii, again covered in spider mites, even though we're outside in a natural environment. So that's not done well for me at all either. You see them everywhere. Never known it. Right, next one we've got, shouldn't really be touching leaves after touching spider mites, but damage is done there. So we've got Mojito, and this I believe is probably getting a bit too much sun. I think this is a Colocasia which would appreciate a bit more shade. So we've lost a lot of the the markings in the leaves. We can still see the nice purple veins and some spotting there, but not overly marked. Look better from the back, to be fair. Leaf, but that's done okay. It's, again, not huge, but reasonable sized leaf on that. And behind that we've got what's this one? Diamond head. So that is a black colocasia which is glossy, and yeah, I mean, it's done okay. It's not, again, not huge leaves, but quite a pretty leaf on it nonetheless. I quite like the shape of them. Again, sort of really glossy and reflective of the light. Looks quite nice. Can't really see much in the way of spider mite damage on that, so maybe being a bit closer to the pond, there's a bit more humidity and they're staying away from that one. But yeah, not huge by any means, but still quite a nice looking Colocasia. And then we've got the Black Magic. So this is another dark leaf one. It's got really deep purple, almost black, matte finish to the leaf. Quite a nice underside, lighter underside. So the leaf's done okay. You know, we again, nothing giant, but we can see on this other leaf here signs of spider mite damage again. So I mean, Black Magic is always one, you know, it's an easy one to get hold of, and is a good, does reasonably well in our sort of cooler summers we have in the UK. So that's one I've always grown. Can be a little bit fiddly to overwinter, but once they get going, they do tend to put on a decent amount of growth. I've got some standard green escalante at the back, which again, not grown huge, but they are in a bit more shade at the back there. The leaf's probably about the same size as this Black Magic leaf here. So I did do a little experiment. So these are all Colocasias in here, bar one, which is an Alocasia lutea, which is the one with the gold vein in the leaves. And I'm well aware that Alocasias are not like Colocasias in the way they don't like wet roots as such. They like water, but not constant wet like the Colocasias do. But nevertheless, I thought I'd give it a try in the bog filter situation. So we are just looking at a pot, probably submerged only a few mil in the water, so it's got constant contact with water and it can draw up as much as it wants. And again, with this leaf we have got spider mite damage on it, so we know that has been attacked and affected, but it has just opened up a new leaf and it seems to be doing okay with wet feet. So what else are we looking at? That's pretty much it for the Colocasias in here. Also, I've got a, albeit most of the flowers have gone over, so we've got a Tropicana Black Canna. Again, that's just in a pot sitting with his feet wet in the water, so that can suck up as much moisture as it likes. I don't know what it is about the Cannas for me this year. They've not performed like other years that you expect with the heat we've had and the amount of sun for massive plants, but a lot of these plants are not doing as well for me this year as they did last year. And it has been dry, but you can't blame that on the dryness in this scenario when they've got constantly wet feet. But nonetheless, we all know Cannas do like water, and they can be a marginal pond plant, and they do well in that scenario. So yeah, that's done okay. Probably just tipping 6 foot at the fence level there. Not a Colocasia by any means. This is just a pond marginal. This is I forget the proper name for it, like an arrowhead pond plant, which I think it's quite nice to grow alongside the Colocasias. I mean, they're just a nice green leaf, and you can see the shape of the leaf is very different to a Colocasia, but it's nice variation. So they're really upright, more similar to an Alocasia, I suppose, but just really, as the name suggests, arrow type shape head. Really easy plant to grow, obviously quite hardy. They die back and then regrow from the bulb every year, and they do multiply pretty quick. I get loads of these everywhere in the garden, but then just a nice complement to the, you know, fairly decent sized leaf on them, and you know, a bit of variation from the Colocasias. So that was just a little update. Again, a little bit disappointing with the amount of spider mite damage on them. So they don't actually damage the leaves as such, other than discolouring them, but they just really sap the life out of the plant, so that just slows them down, and that's what I'm putting this down to this year. So yeah, a little disappointed in that sense, but you know, they've done okay, and it's nice to have some, you know, different leaf forms and colours to look at. Alright, thanks for watching.